Let's look at how to do the career agent for military in EVE Online. You go to the top left to the agency. This is in your menu. You can also use Alt-N shortcut to pull it up. Once you're in the agency, you'll see the list of things to do, and you want to go to Agents and Missions. And then on the right, click on Career Agents. From here, you can find the career agent you're interested in this case, the military career path. Now, I'm already at the station, so I can click Start Conversation. If you're not there, you'll have to hit Set Destination, and then make your way to the station where that agent is to start the conversation. And then click Start Conversation. The other way you can do it is by finding the agent here in the Station tab and going to Agents, and then looking for the one for military. There's also Advanced Military. You should do military first. This one is red because I've already completed the industry career path, and you can only do them once. So I can click on this Start Conversation button here, or I can right click on the agent and hit Start Conversation. So here, mission 1 of 10, Gurista thugs are harassing miners in a nearby asteroid belt. Let's clean up the area. So the objective is to go clear out some pirates, and our reward is going to be a Gatling railgun with some ammo as well, if we finish it quickly enough. And our mission is in the System Jovelin, which is the same one we're in, so we don't have to go far. Let's accept it. Now, let's make sure we're in a ship that actually has a gun on it. So let's go to our fitting window on the left and open it. In this case, I do actually have 2 guns equipped from an earlier mission, but let's say you don't have those. Let's take these off completely and take this off, and I'm actually going to right click and say leave ship. And why don't I even destroy that ship? I'm just going to trash it. Okay, so what you can do if you have nothing at all, on the right side here is click board my Corvette. You can do this at any station. When it puts you in your Corvette, which is like it's a rookie frigate that they'll give you for free at any station, then if you go to your fitting window, we can see that it gives you some basic modules. You'll get a civilian afterburner, a civilian miner, and a civilian Gatling gun, which is fine. That one Gatling gun that we get on the starter frigate should be enough to go do this mission. So let's go do it now. I'm going to click the undock button here and just wait. Now that we're undocked, we can right click in space and then look for the bookmark under our agent missions, and not the agent home base, that's the station. We want the encounter, and then we can warp to location. We can also use this button here in the info panel for warp to location.
Warp drive active.
It'll take us just a moment to warp to the actual location, and once we're there, we should see a bad guy that we want to attack. So let's look at our gun down here by hovering our mouse over it, and it says optimal range 5,280, fall off range within 7,380. The optimal range is the range where you'll do your most damage. The fall off range is the distance that you can be where your average hit chance is 50%. So as you continue to move away from your optimal range, past your fall off range, you'll start to hit even less. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, we see there's a couple bad guys here. There's one closer and one that's a little farther. Let's target that one that's 15 kilometers. He's got a 3,000 ISK bounty, so if we kill him, we'll get that money. And we need to be within 5,000 meters, so let's right click on our orbit button. Set the default orbit distance to 5,000 so that we try and maintain our optimal distance. And now with this enemy, I'm going to click orbit. I'm going to turn on my afterburner by clicking it. This is going to increase my maximum speed, which will get me into position faster and give me an edge over the opponent to keep a distance that I decide. So I need to click on them, and then click on the lock button here. And then you have this target locked and you have it selected now. Now we're getting close to 5,000 meters. We can start activating our gun by clicking it, and it's going to cycle round and round. Every time it cycles, it's going to shoot again, and up here is where we can see how much damage we're doing. And over here we can see the shield, armor, and hit points of the enemy that we're trying to attack. Okay, they've just been destroyed, and now there's just a wreck in their place. And there's more bad guys now. Now there's 2 more over there, and 1 over here. Why don't we go for this one guy that's by himself really quick? So I'm just going to approach to go straight towards him and gain maximum distance reduced here. I'm going to approach with my afterburner still on. We're going about 500. If you wanted to set a speed and only go half speed, you could just click somewhere inside this blue bar, and the minus will set you all the way to 0, and the plus will set you to full speed. As I get closer, I'm going to change from an approach to an orbit right about now, and I'll break off into an orbit pattern, and I'll start shooting. One way to lock and shoot at the same time is click your gun, and then you'll get the crosshairs, and it's going to ask you who you want to lock on. And then what you can do is click and then click on the enemy that you want to lock and shoot. And it'll start shooting as soon as it locks on now. And you can tell this gun is shooting on this person because of this icon here. And you can stop your gun if you want to click on it. You can click on it to stop it, but you don't really want to stop it until they're dead, usually. Okay, now let's lock these last 2. And this one's already 5,000. Let's orbit. Shoot our gun. And now we can see we're blasting this guy here. He's going to go down real quick. Let's prepare the next one. Click on him. Orbit. And we'll start maintaining distance with him. Now we'll have to activate our gun again on our new target. And as long as we're within that 5,000 meters, we should hit him. There we go. That was the last one. Now, these are all wrecks here in your overview, and there's one that has some loot in it. You can tell because the wreck icon is hollow here, and on this wreck icon there's a white square, a gray square in the center. That means there's loot still inside that container. Whereas the other ones, you can tell they don't have anything. They'd only be good for salvaging at this point. But this one has some loot. It might be a module. It might just be some metal scraps. But let's loot it by clicking open cargo. And we'll have to be within 2,500 meters. Okay, just some metal scraps. I'll click loot all. Close. And then I'll use this button over here and click dock. This is going to bring me back to the station so I can start a conversation with my agent and turn in my mission. If you look right now, my ship keeps bouncing. It keeps bouncing against this big rock. That's why it's having trouble warping. So what I'm going to do is cancel my warp by coming over here and clicking the stop button. Now you can see my warp stopped. And I'm going to double click out here in space, which will set my ship to approach that area. And I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to gain some space so that I'm not right next to that giant station. And then once I've got some distance and it looks like I'm clear of it, I can rewarp again. So let me find the station on my overview, click dock, which will warp me and
Warp
dock
drive
me there.
active.
So now we should have enough space between us and that big rock there, so we don't bump into it. We're about to get into our warp. There we go. We made it. Once we're back at the station, we just need to start a conversation and complete our mission. And then we'll be ready for part 2. It'll automatically dock for us if we click the dock button instead of just warp. If you wanted to warp instead of docking, you can click this warp to within
Docking permission requested.
0
Docking request
meters
accepted.
instead of dock. And then you can just hang out and look at the station if that's what you want to do instead of docking. Okay, now that we're here, we can use start conversation on the left or find the agent on the right where we have the accepted mission. Start conversation. And here we've cleared our objective, and our reward is going to be a 75mm Gatling rail with the ammo. So let's complete. Alright, now let's check out our inventory on the left. Go to our item hanger. And some of these other things were rewards from other missions, but we've got the antimatter charge, 2000. And we have our 75mm Gatling rail. So let's equip it. Let's go to the left. Go to our ship fitting window, or Alt F. And why don't we take off this mining module and put that in here and equip this 75mm Gatling rail. And let's also equip the ammo into that gun. And let's take the extra ammo and put it into our ship's cargo hold so that we have it when we're out flying. This gun here, the civilian Gatling railgun, the civilian guns are basically your training modules, and that's a special one that doesn't actually require any ammo. So we don't put the ammo charges into that one until we replace it with a quote-unquote real gun. Now if we go back to our ship fitting, you can mouse over the gun and see the optimal range. You can also see the damage per second. That one's 3.8. Let's look at what our gun here does. This one does 9.7 damage per second. So this one does much more than this civilian gun here. If you mouse over it, you can also see the optimal range is different and the fall off range is different. They're much higher on this one. You can also see the type of damage caused. In this case, it says 9 HP of thermal damage and 12 HP of kinetic damage. There's also explosive damage and what's the other one? I'm drawing a blank, but there's one more type of damage as well. You can also see the turret tracking there. 150, that's the speed that it can track, which is a bit lower than this Gatling one. So if you open your cargo here and we look at the charge, well, let's do it this way. Let me close this window. When you mouse over here, you can see there's 2 info buttons. There's an info button for the gun, and we click that I here, and it's going to show us the info about the gun. And if we click the other I here, it says show charge info. That's going to show us the info about the ammo. And if we go to the ammo, we can see here this one has 50% reduced optimal range. But the trade-off is that it's shorter range, but it does more damage versus some of the other ammo types, which will do less damage but give you more range. So depending on your situation, you may want to use different ammo because it'll give you different ranges, or different ammo because it'll give you different damage types. So get out there with your new gun, go blast things. If you want, you can go to any asteroid belt in a system and look for computer pirate rats. But what I'm going to do is do the next mission. I'm going to request mission 2 of 10, but I'm going to do that in the next video.